Janet from another planet? Is 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 Janet from another planet?
Today's digital landscape with the spread of false information can lead to dangerous outcomes. It's crucial for everyone to think critically and verify sources and reflect on the impact of what they share. Let's promote responsible communication to ensure that truth prevails and actions remain rooted in reality.
The opinions you're about to hear on this show are strictly those of the panel.
The following program is rated TV MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me tonight for Cosmic Chat, because I'm going to be talking about weird and, outwardly things. Sometimes a little spooky things or other things that people think are aliens. Or something to do with aliens, but sometimes I don't agree. But I had a couple people send me a few little videos that I thought were pretty interesting about CERN and people disappearing that used to work for CERN or other agencies that deal with that type of phenomenon. But a lot of people feel like it's government that might be taking these people, not necessarily our own government. I've heard a couple rumors that they think it's Russians. I've heard others that say since the borders have been wide open, it could be Iranians or other people that want secrets on how to enrich uranium, but not to go to outer space, just to blow up our inner space, that type of thing. And then I've heard that it's the Chinese, basically. There was a a couple of videos, I think, that Tucker made a while back, maybe a little over a year ago, and he interviewed a husband and wife couple that were in South America that said they'd went to a couple of these like boot camps to train Chinese soldiers or whatever to come over the border and to do certain things, whatever it is that they were called, asked to do, and that their reward would be all the women, all the American women, because there's tons of women, in America, and in China there isn't. They have very few women considering how many men they have, since, a lot of Chinese didn't want daughters because daughters weren't considered, the prize thing. You always wanted a son to carry on your name. And so that would be like a reward. That was in one of the things I thought was pretty interesting. But I'm going to start off by playing this. There are four different videos that I kind of edited together to tell the story that this person is trying to relay to everyone that they feel is what's going on. And then I have some stuff to talk about afterward to answer some of the questions that I feel were interesting that were brought up from this story. But if you see of anything that you think stands out that maybe I miss, send it to me, and I'll share my email, which is the Friday Night Shit Show at gmail.com. I'll share it in the chat for anyone who wants to send me any more information that they think that I'm not basically talking about. So I wanted to share that with you guys. But I want to say hello to everybody before I get started. Oh, hello, George. Thank you for joining me this evening. I really appreciate it. Hi, baby girl. Appreciate you. And Lloyd Christmas. Wouldn't be the same without you. And thank you for being in here tonight, because I know that you're one of the wrenches or whatever. I need wrenches. I've had a lot of trolls these last couple of weeks. I've just been bombarded. But somebody told me how to turn on that they have to be a subscriber for like 5-10 minutes or whatever. And then after they've been there for that long, then they can chat. That really has made a difference. It's shocking. At my last show, I remember a couple of people were saying this stupid stuff, and I highlighted their name and said, look, they waited a whole 5 to 10 minutes, whatever it was, just so they could say this. I bet Mom's so proud. And I was like, bringing that up. I thought it was funny. But I just want to say, hi, I haven't seen you in a while, Papa. Yeah, but I agree that, no one should ever take anything too seriously, really, because unless it's got facts behind it, that stand up in court. I mean, to me, that's what I try to put everything with. If there's enough facts to back something up in court to prove a jury, at least as much as you can possibly could, then to me, it really isn't truth. It's not scientifically proven. But the sad truth is that I have seen, like, I watched the O.J. Simpson trial, and I thought they had more than enough evidence to prove that O.J. Simpson did what he did. It was just tons of it. And that everything isn't somebody trying to frame somebody, that sometimes they're guilty, and the evidence is pointing at that. But because of whatever their reasoning behind it, they can try to make you feel bad for them. Like this week right now, they're trying to do the whole thing. I played some of the trial where there were, not the trial, but the sentencing phase, where they showed all the evidence for the guy, the fake FedEx guy that pretended he was a FedEx guy so he could kidnap that little girl, Athena, and killed her. And he killed her because the evidence, you see him put her in the van and you hear him killing her in the van. So he did murder, and she was 7 years old. And then he dumped her like a piece of trash. And then he went and cleaned up the van because she threw up in it a few times. Things like that. It's disgusting. Tons of evidence. But the jury is going to hear this starting, I think, tomorrow, evidence that to show that his mother was drinking while while she was pregnant with him, and that might cause him to have mental problems, all this different poor pitiful me stuff. And I hope to God they give him the death penalty, and I hope it doesn't take 25 years and then he has conjugal visits and has a bunch of kids that we have to pay for. It's just disgusting, but there's plenty of evidence to prove different things. But just like this, I saw people saying that they thought CERN was opening the heavens or hell, letting creatures and demons in. But I hate to say that, but I believe that that's right here in people. So when you open the doors, that's when they come in. And honestly, that's all that Satan wants is us. He wants to turn us away from God and make, and hurt God. That's what his job is, basically, is all he wants to do. So I just really, wish more people would try to think with both feet on the ground and look and see what's being done and what isn't. You know what I mean? Just like I said way back when about different things in this administration, to give him the same amount of time other people had before you bash him and throw him under the bus. I already think he's done an excellent job at trying to fix a lot of the problems that we have. And he's Pam Bondi stepping down. So hopefully this next person that we get will step up to the plate and do some of the things that I want to see done too. I mean, but to me, the benefit of doubt, giving someone the same amount of time as you did another person or two other people ahead, gave them 8 years, and they just made it worse and worse and worse. So, okay, I will look at that while the video is playing that I'm going to start, because it really is interesting. If you listen to a lot of the conspiracies that go around CERN, it's very interesting, because it doesn't mean it isn't true. Okay, because everything starts out as a conspiracy, but man, I'm sure a lot of that stuff starting to come true, more and more of it. But a lot of people believed it was true from the beginning, and then others haven't. Same thing with the COVID vaccines and tons of other things, medical stuff, food, making your food out of, whatever chemicals they can to make you fake meat, stuff like that. So there's just so much out there. And this was something I thought was pretty cool. And the way this gentleman goes about explaining it and stuff, I think it's very interesting. And the fact that not everything is true just because they say it on the internet. And I have something to show that. And then I have the other side of that too. So I'm going to start this and hope you guys like it. I thought it was really, really, really interesting. So here we go.
Experimentation. There are beings from portals coming in and out.
Beings coming in and out of portals.
Yes, they have apparently in the bottom of the CERN this portal, this door where they are dealing with all the subatomic dimensions.
She's not the only one talking about this. If you've seen the latest video, you know Dan Burish has been saying the same thing.
They are from the future, 45,000 years ahead of
45,000 years ahead on a separate timeline than what we are presently on.
People from the future coming through open portals. I can't even wrap my mind around it. And now, to hear a CERN insider saying it out loud. But here's what's more disturbing.
When you look at what is going on in the CERN, there is a fight from some of the military agencies. Intel, they say that there is a fight on time. They're trying to change time.
Trying to change time or changing timelines? The cornucopia was there. Tinkerbell did dot the I in the Disney intro. Pikachu's tail had a black tip, but now they say it was never there. And there are dozens of examples just like this, and every single one of them messes with my head. Lately, I feel something is off, something is wrong with time itself. I can feel it, and I know a lot of you can feel it too. I have this feeling that time is broken. It passes too fast, even if I stay and do nothing for an entire day. Okay, I know there are some scientific explanations for that, but what about the Mandela effect? How do you explain that? This is why I had to make a part 2. To put it all together, this CERN insider talking about portals and beings coming in and out, this feeling that time itself may be broken, the Mandela effects, and all these unanswered questions and doubts about what CERN is really doing. While researching this video, I came across someone named Frank Jacob, who says,
I thought I'd do an impromptu report on something which I think is giving people a lot to be concerned about. The investigative journalist Miriam Hanine recently published an article entitled "CERN Erupts Over Portals, Particles and the Large Hadron Collider."
So I followed the link shown below, and surprise, it looks like the article was deleted. Interesting. A journalist writes an article raising concerns about CERN, and the article can't be found anymore. I searched everywhere on their site. Nothing. But I did find it eventually in the web archive, and what it said shook me more than I expected. Let me explain what was in that article, because this is where it gets very, very interesting. All of this comes from the investigative journalist Miriam Hanine. First, you need to understand what's happening at CERN. It's very important. 10 years after discovering the Higgs boson, the so-called God particle, CERN's Large Hadron Collider started smashing protons together at energy levels we've never seen before. Their stated goal? To reveal more secrets about how the universe works. Let's talk about what this machine actually is. The LHC is the world's largest and most powerful particle collider. It's a circular tunnel, nearly 17 miles long, buried 574 feet underground along the border between Switzerland and France. After a 3-year upgrade, it was fired back up in April 2022, and on July 5th of that year, it began a new experiment running 24/7. For the next 4 years, at a record energy of 13.6 trillion electron volts. That's slightly higher than its previous record. They'll collect data, then shut down again in 2026 for another 3-year upgrade, before starting up once more in 2029. The price tag so far? $9.2 billion. The process sounds like science fiction. They take 2 beams of protons, the particles in the nucleus of the atom, and shoot them in opposite directions around this 17-mile ring at almost the speed of light. Then, they make them collide. These collisions are recorded by massive detectors with names like Atlas, CMS, ALICE, and LHCb. Thousands of scientists will analyze the debris, hoping to find clues about dark matter, dark energy, and what the article calls other fundamental mysteries. And almost immediately, they started finding things. Early in Run 3, CERN reported the observation of 3 new exotic particles. The article explains these could help reveal how the most fundamental building blocks of matter, called quarks, bind together. One experiment, called ALICE, wants to study a state of matter known as quark-gluon plasma, a superhot soup where atoms melt away. Scientists believe this was the state of the entire universe just a fraction of a second after the Big Bang. Another, called LHCb, studies the beauty quark, and this is where things get strange. The beauty quark is key to understanding the difference between matter and antimatter, their opposite charged twin. When matter and antimatter touch, they annihilate each other in a flash of energy. The Big Bang should have created equal amounts of both, but it didn't. Our universe is made almost entirely of matter. That imbalance, as the article plainly states, has no explanation. We exist because of a cosmic typo that no one can explain. In 2018, CERN scientists figured out how to trap it and transport it from one facility to another. The amount they moved, according to the article, had an energy equivalent of about 20 Hiroshima bombs. Research here is mind-bending. They're testing whether antimatter reacts to gravity the same way matter does. This is a fundamental question. If it doesn't, it would break one of Einstein's core principles. Recent results, the article notes, show that within strict boundaries, it does fall the same way, but the search continues. All this research leads to an even bigger idea, one that feels like it's taken from a sci-fi book. The article quotes a theory. Let me read that part directly from the article. Though it may sound like science fiction, if extra dimensions exist, they could explain why the universe is expanding faster than expected and why gravity is weaker than other forces of nature. The search for extra dimensions is not science fiction. It is a legitimate, active area of research in theoretical physics. CERN's stated mission is to search for evidence of them. But then, the article makes a pivot. After laying out this high-level science, it states, unfortunately, the public is not fully aware of the full potential of CERN as it relates to interdimensional communication. And from this point, the tone of this article shifts. It moves from reporting on science to examining symbols, rituals, and unanswered questions. So please, stay with me. It gets really interesting. It mentions CERN's logo. which some say contains the number 666. Founded in 1954 by 12 European countries, CERN later expanded to more than 20 member states. It is also where the World Wide Web was invented in 1989. Then, it describes an event in 2016. A ceremony for the opening of the Gotthard Base Tunnel in Switzerland. That ceremony was very weird. I won't go into details here to keep this video safe. You can look into it later if you're curious. The journalist directly connects this to CERN's activity. The last time CERN was turned up to full capacity, strange things happened around the world. The Earth's magnetosphere was affected, and an unexplained spiral was observed in Norway. Then it asks the question point blank: is there a possibility that CERN opened an interdimensional portal? What are they really looking for? To answer that, it brings in a voice from the other side, a researcher named Sophia Kay, whose brother is a quantum physicist who worked on the collider. She addresses concerns about CERN, telling, "This isn't an episode of Saturday morning cartoons. Sorry to disappoint anyone wanting to test the event horizon theory, but I think we're stuck here in this time zone for a little bit longer." She explains things in a simple way. Before the LHC was built, there were many theories about particles, but there was no method to test them outside of a computer simulation. It's very difficult to prove that certain particles actually exist. Our theories assume they do. Because of the LHC, scientists identified the top quark and the Higgs boson. These discoveries opened a new understanding of our cosmos. Particle acceleration allows us to test the fundamental nature of matter and reality. Sophia then addresses a common concern. She mentions Planck energy. This is a fundamental limit in physics. The Planck energy is a quintillion times higher than the maximum energy of the LHC. The following section has the title Black Holes and Portals to Hell. It mentions that many people distrust CERN. Regarding black holes, two particles could create a microscopic or micro black hole if they collide with energy above a specific threshold. Sophia presents the mainstream scientific position. The prevailing theory of gravity does not predict that a black hole can actually be made this way. Any competent physicist will tell you it's impossible. It would require a total abandonment of physics, quantum field mechanics, and logic. However, CERN's own official channels acknowledge the collider might produce black holes, not the kind found in space. The official position states black hole creation is very unlikely, but they allow for the possibility of tiny quantum black holes. According to sources referenced, such a black hole would decay harmlessly into ordinary particles. CERN states that observing this event would be a major discovery. They say it presents no danger and would be perfectly safe. The stated reasoning is clear. The creation of a black hole at the LHC would confirm theories that our universe is not four-dimensional, but indeed hosts other dimensions. This statement leads to subsequent questions. If dimensions exist beyond the four we experience, how do we know where these tiny black holes go?
Things that are real to us but are different in other realities. It is a consistent fluctuation, and I think this fluctuation is known as Mandela effect.
This was happening in 2016. Shortly after this video went viral, the genius kid disappeared. No updates, no interviews, nothing. For years, the internet searched for answers. What happened to Max Lowen, the kid who said CERN broke reality? What you're about to hear next will change how you see everything. Just keep in mind, in 2008, CERN launched the Large Hadron Collider, and in 2009, people started noticing something strange. Memories that didn't match reality.
What happened was we made this universe sort of out of balance, and our universe...
Because of the collider, the super collider?
Yeah, we altered the weight of a single electron, which I believe shifted us into a parallel universe. This is our original timeline, right? But as soon as this starts, we are infinitely catapulted into an infinite number of parallel universes.
In 2008, scientists at CERN launched the Large Hadron Collider, the most powerful particle accelerator ever built. It smashes atoms together at almost the speed of light, searching for the fundamental code of the universe. Some physicists even warned it could open microscopic black holes or distort space-time itself. And then, barely a year later, something even stranger happened. Thousands of people began remembering Nelson Mandela, dying in prison in the 1980s, but he actually died in 2013. Entire groups shared the same false memory. Soon after, a large segment of the population started noticing the same thing. Logos, movie lines, and even historical events remembered differently than they actually were.
The original universe is mirror, mirror on the wall.
Mirror, mirror on the wall.
Transferred to universe is magic mirror on the wall.
Magic mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest one of all?
So we are now not in the same universe that we were in when Mirror, Mirror on the Wall was a part of a film.
I thought all of that was very interesting, but I don't remember a lot of that stuff happening or changing or being different than it was when I remembered it. So how can we be in the same room but supposedly in two different dimensions the same exact time? I just don't believe any of that stuff at all. That, because of whatever, the collider or whatever, just because a kid said it and he's a genius. And the fact that a kid said it and they say, oh, he's missing. Well, I did with a simple Google search, I found out where he is. Found out a lot of information about him, but there's still other articles out there that say he's still missing. But, he's now an adult and going to school, or started. I'll bring up the stuff and show it to you in a minute. But it's just funny how someone could say something and get someone else riled up over it. I'm trying to remember the study, but there was a study, I think it was in the 60s, maybe the 70s, where they brought like 6 or 7 people into a room, and another person would come in there dressed in a white robe like he was a doctor, right? Look like some type of scientist or whatever. And he'd come in there, and really it was only on one person. Everyone was in on it except for one person. The one person would sit in there, and the scientist would hold his chart up, and he'd have 3 lines on this chart. And he would try to say, this line over here, is it the same length as these 3 on this side? And he would ask the different people, and the one person that was by themselves basically said, no, it's shorter. But each time that he did it, when the other people all said, yeah, it's the same size, they finally started saying the same thing because they were embarrassed that their answer was different, and it made them stood them out. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Damn, I wish I could remember. But I've talked about it before, about how people tend to go in groups, like if in group mentality, mob mentality. If you got a group of people and they're all yelling, hey, this guy did this or whatever, and we need to get him, and then one guy jumps on him, and then other people start jumping on him, even though they didn't see him do anything. But they'll attack the guy, beat him up, pretty much kill him or whatever, because one person that probably started all of it told them to do it. They get riled up and do stuff like that. The movie The Warriors basically like that. You have one nut job at the beginning that says he's the one that took the gun and shot someone named Cyrus or whatever, and then tells all the other people that he saw one of the warriors do it. And then all through the movie, you watch all these gangs trying to get the warriors and take them out simply because someone else told them that that's what they saw. So, and there's other movies and other books and other shows that tell you about that. So it's important that you have facts to back what you do, because it could be you next time. Someone's pointing the finger at you and everyone's chasing you to kill you because someone falsely accused you of something that wasn't true. We find out a lot later on that, lots of men are accused of raping someone, and it was never true. They did it for attention, or they did it because their husband caught them cheating or thought they were cheating, and they said they were raped. I don't know. I don't know why people lie about stuff like that, but people do, and it could ruin someone's life simply because someone else either is jealous of them or doesn't like them or got spurned by them. So they make up stories, and could cause them to lose their livelihood, get a put in prison. I mean, we don't know the extent, because it can always be worse or not as bad, but still being accused of something you didn't do is terrible. And I wish nobody ever had that happen to them. But it is definitely, I've seen it in many platforms online, and I've seen it in person, in different groups of people, that people will gang up on one simply because someone that they trusted is the one that said this happened. But there's one movie, and I don't remember the name of it, but it was really good. I think it might have came out in the 90s, and I think it was a trilogy movie, kind of like the Twilight Zone, something like that. And there was a woman, and she was assaulted in this movie, and she told her husband, what the guy looked like and all this different stuff. And the cops, came, and she went to the hospital and everything. Well, he gets her out of the hospital, and they're, in a car together driving on the road. And the woman goes, "That's him." And the husband looks at her, and she goes, "That's him." He goes, "Who?" And she goes, "The man who attacked me." And the husband pulls over the car, and he tells her to stay in the car. Everything's gonna be fine. He gets out, and he follows the man. He follows him for quite a ways, and then he goes into an alley, and he goes in there, and he ends up killing that man, the man that his wife pointed out and said was the one who did it, right? So he's a nervous wreck. He's all amped up and everything, and he finally works his way back to his vehicle, and he gets in, and he tells his wife that he got rid of the man, and the man will never hurt anyone again, those type of things. And they hug and they kiss, and she thanks him for it and everything, but she was assaulted. Okay. She really was. So she was traumatized, right? So they start driving off, and they're holding hands, and they're so happy. And all of a sudden she looks out the window, and she goes, "That's him. That's him." And he goes, "Who?" And she goes, "The guy that assaulted me." Then he realizes he just killed an innocent man, because she was traumatized. And now everyone she sees, any strange man, looks like the man that attacked her. So he took the law into his own hands, and it wasn't for the best. So basically, you've got to step back, look at the situation, and figure out what's the best direction to take. And going off half-cocked with very little information is usually the worst thing to do for any situation. All you're going to do is hurt people in the long run. Because if you did do something dumb like the husband did, he loved his wife and he wanted to help her, but he let his emotions override his mind of what was the best thing. Because now when he gets arrested, guess what? No one's there to help take care of his family now, because now he's in prison and they don't even have him home anymore. So it's just sad that we have so many people that let others push their buttons and make them make decisions that they normally probably wouldn't have ever made, but because of something they saw or heard, instead of factual information. It's sad, but that happens every day. And just because you hear it online or even on the news today does not mean it's true. So, you need a lot of patience, and you have to be able to sit there and say, well, I'm going to dig out as much as I can. And once you get the evidence you need, then you use that to further your cause. But I just thought the whole thing was very interesting, the way it laid it out. But you got to remember, they said the whole thing about the young boy, that after Max talked about, the Mandela effect and how he thought we were in an alternate timeline that was running side by side, just off by that one atom, right? It changed, what we were seeing, our perception and things like that. And that he supposedly disappeared, right? But I don't think he disappeared, because I Googled it and I found him. So I'm going to share what I found about him. And I think it's real. I think it's proof that, hello, thank you for joining me tonight. I think it's proof to show that just because somebody said it to sell a show or whatever, to get clicks, whatever the reason was, doesn't mean it's real, doesn't mean it's true. And it's fun to get excited. I love movies and I get excited. I've seen some movies many times, and I get just as excited to watch like the Blues Brothers or some of the other movies that I love to sing and dance along to. And I love them, but I know it's not real. I know it's a movie, and different things like that, and it's fun. I know that I can do this kind of stuff, but I know it's not real. And if anyone ever said, hey, she's a real alien, she's really from Venus, and things like that, I would say, well, it's my persona. Yeah. But in real life, I'm just as human as anybody else. So I don't know. It's just sad that we have so many people that are so gullible because someone talked them into it or got them to believe whatever it was they were saying. So I just hope that if you have good friends that actually care about you, they will help you through a time where you're trapped in lies or not knowing if it's the truth. Instead of jumping on it, try to find out the facts, and hopefully it'll help you and help a lot of other people and keep people out of jail. That's what I'm hoping. But I'm going to show you this really quick. Let me pull it up here. Yeah, it's this one. 1 second, right here. This was one of the things I wanted to share about the boy, the genius that was talking about in that last video that you just saw about the Mandela effect and how he believed that it was a possibility because people were having all these incidences where they're having memories that were off just a little, that it had to be, or his point of view was that was because we were after the atom collider, did the first experiment. It changed our perception of where we really are. Our time is off just a tad or whatever. But that was what his hypothesis at that time about what he felt was happening or could be happening. See, that's what a lot of people seem to just take everything and just, just swallow it down and take it as gospel. And you shouldn't ever do that. Every single thing you see, you should, think about it for a few seconds before you just jump in, and believe everything you're seeing. Because it is, unless you're giving birth and your husband's watching your baby be born and he's holding his hands, I think you can believe that. You know what I mean? To try to just use a little bit of common sense about making decisions about something you heard or you saw or you think you saw, because the mind does play tricks on people. But this boy, this is another article talking about how he's still missing. Nobody can find him, that he just disappeared, like somebody kidnapped him or stole him or, all this stuff. And but what's funny is that this whole article talking about him being gone, and I'll share if you guys want to see it. It came out in June of 2025. But if you go down a little bit, just on the side here, see, it talks about different things that could be connected to whatever it is you're looking up. That's what they do. They normally put a lot of different things on there. But so I just kept looking. I just clicked on a few things and read them, to see what was in there and what was involved. But because he was a young boy at the time, I think he was like 11 or 12 when you saw the first video. And now this is talking about teenage inventor, because you can tell this kid in this picture is a little older than the one that we saw in the video just a few minutes ago, talking about the collider and the Mandela effect, what he was speaking about, and that supposedly he went up missing because he connected the dots or whatever type of thing. And I'm not saying that's not an intriguing story, because I watched all of these different videos and thought, wow. And then I put them all together. And there's a couple little things there, because I'm not a professional doing all that stuff, but I am learning. I've come a long way, I think. But I just thought it was interesting, and how many people, because I like to go back and read the chat underneath, all the comments that people are making. And some people are like, oh, the flat earthers. And then you got people, we've never been anywhere, blah, 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 blah. It's all fake. Everything's CGI, everything's AI, whatever. So you're going to have all these different points of view, no matter what. So even if you had it happened in front of everyone and it's caught on video, and you watch the video over and over and they prove that it's not faked or whatever, people are still going to not believe it, because some people are just going to believe what they want to believe, and it doesn't matter what you say, which is fine too, because they have the right to do that. But I'm just trying to say, don't just jump to conclusions and believe it because somebody showed you something that you think is the gospel, because it doesn't mean it is. I just don't want you to be, especially if you get in over your head over something that you really shouldn't. That's all I wanted to do. But I'm going to turn this off and go to the next one, because this other one is him. It's another article that I found about this Max, this young boy, and there's tons of them, which prove that he's not just gone. And his one, it talks about him, from him a young age, that he knew his purpose and his passion for science to invent a better future about all different things. And at the age of 13, Max and his brother founded this lab group to where they work on lots of different things, like educate people about the environment, food, health, safety, all kinds of things that they think is important, which is great, because that's what our world needs: young entrepreneurs, young people who want to share what they love, whether it's science or it's let's say they're into farming, or whatever their thing that they're in love with. A parent is supposed to nurture their kid and help them help themselves as they mature and become an adult. The best thing ever, though, is if you can get your kid excited about whatever it is, but they can actually make a living, doing it. That's the best job ever, because who doesn't want to be able to play baseball or whatever it is, like Tiger Woods' parents, teaching him how to play golf, and he was really good at it, and he excelled, and he was able to make millions and millions of dollars doing it and became very famous, and all because his parents loved him and tried to do the best they could to help their son. Now, I'm not saying every kid is going to be the best golfer or whatever, but try to be there for your kids and help them, nurture them into adulthood with all kinds of things to learn about, and interactions, with nature or science or computers or painting or art jobs or whatever it is that you're wanting your child to be interested in, and open their minds and let them find something, even if it ends up just being a hobby. Let it be something they love doing. I just love it. I love all the stuff that my mother taught me how to do, even though I was way more of a tomboy than I was like my other sisters were. But I would never do anything to change the time that I had with my mother while I had it. She taught me how to crochet and how to sew on a sewing machine. I make tons of costumes. I do a lot of things thanks to my mom teaching me. And that's what's the most important things, I think. Your grandma, your grandpa might take you hunting, teach you how to fish, or do all kinds of things. We learn from, our families and our loved ones, someone who wants to see us nurture. And that's what this young boy did. And he's not missing. They just added a few things, more intrigue and stuff to make it more exciting so that you'd listen to their show. I'm not saying that the whole thing, everything they talked about wasn't true. Just saying that movies are more exciting when it has a little intrigue and romance or action, added to it, even though it may never even really happen that way. But if you're going to make it into a book or a movie, it's got to have something in it to make people want to keep reading, right? If it's real boring, you're going to put it down and it's going to be hard for them to pick it back up again. So I just wanted you to see that this kid is still alive and still kicking. He's out there doing stuff. He's living his life like we all should be doing. And I just thought, it was important that I shared that with you because I wanted you to see that he is still around. And then I got one more I'm going to share really quick, showing you him even older. See, this is him, and you can tell he's an adult now, but it's the same guy. And he's still in the science, which is great. And he's probably going to make really good money. You know what I mean? So, oh, here we go. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you think I'm funny looking. That's okay. I don't have a problem with that. That's why I'm dressed up, because I want to look different, like an alien. But that's all right. But thank you for joining me tonight. He's on his cell phone. Yeah, that's where most of them come from. But thank you anyways. But I just wanted to explain that thing and show you that he is alive. He's not dead, and he's not been missing. If someone didn't snatch him to use him for scientific experiments or whatever people are saying about him, that no one knows where he's at. But this next thing I want to share has to do with the same intrigue that surrounds CERN and this young woman. Now, she really did die, but we don't know why. We don't know what happened for sure. There's a lot of scary stuff around it. But I also watched this, and I was going to play this video for you of her that she put out herself. She wanted to tell people that she was scared, that she felt someone was following her and listening in on them, her and her boyfriend in their apartment, things like that. But this was another post. I'm going to play this, but I wanted you to read some of these posts underneath this post that this person put out. It says, scientist Amy Catherine Eskridge was found dead at 34 years old. She had publicly warned her life was in danger over groundbreaking work tied to this whole thing with this technology. But the thing is that they don't have anything in this that proves that's what happened or points, in that direction or anything. She just happened to work there. Okay. A lot of people work for NASA. A lot of people work for the government. A lot of people work for, lots of different businesses, Amazon. I mean, someone could disappear working for Amazon. They could say the Amazon is involved in whatever. So I'm just saying, just because somebody works somewhere doesn't necessarily mean that's why they were, taken out or whatever. People get killed every day. People die in car accidents. People get their house broken into. Their house burns down. All those different things. But I want to play this for you real quick so you can listen to what she says. Let me close this over here. All right, here we go.
I found out that I was being physically surveilled by the following method. Mm-hmm. My ex-boyfriend and I realized that people had been breaking into our apartment while we were gone together in the same vehicle. And so I'm in the apartment, I'm about to go to work, and I'm like, why don't you take out the trash and scope out the parking lot and make sure it's okay before I go to work? So he goes out there and he's like, there's this weird fucking Lexus. It's like a silver Lexus. This is a shitty apartment. Why is there really nice Lexus in the parking lot? And it has tinted windows that are not street legal, just totally dark, totally black tinted windows that are not possibly street legal. And so he comes back in and we're standing in our bedroom window looking at the Lexus and talking about it. And I say out loud, maybe we should walk over there later and take a picture of the license plate, because the Lexus is across the parking lot from us, but it's backed in, so you can't see the license plate. Within 2 minutes of me saying, hey, we should walk over there later and take a picture of the license plate, we were still standing there at the window looking at it, talking about it. And an Eastern European looking motherfucker with a black beanie, dressed all in black, in his 50s or 60s, walked out of the apartment directly across from ours holding a license plate. And he opened the trunk of the Lexus and he took out some tools and he changed the license plate right in front of our fucking faces. And then he walked back to his apartment and he put the old license plate on the front patio and went inside, left it outside. And it was literally like, come get the license plate. I have more. I have more where this came from. Come get the license plate. And then after that, the Lexus started tailing me. And every time I saw the Lexus, it had a different license plate. It would be like Alabama plates, a different state plate. It would be random dealer plates, none of which were local, just like cardboard temporary dealer plates, none of which were any local dealers. Every time I saw it, it was different plates. It would follow me to the gas station to go get beer. I would go get beer at the gas station and that Lexus follows me. And even my ex called an Uber once. He called an Uber. The Lexus pulled out from the spot across the parking lot from our apartment, drove over to our apartment and said, "Hey, I'm your Uber here to pick you up." The license matched in the Uber app, but they didn't have an Uber sticker or a Lyft sticker. You can't drive Uber if you don't have an Uber sticker. He pulled out of his spot. He pulled out of his spot across from our apartment where he lived and drove over there to pick him up and said, "Hey, I'm your Uber here to pick you up." They changed the license plate right in front of our face. Like 60 seconds after I said, "Hey, we should go take a picture of that license plate." And they leave it on the patio, like, "Take it. We have more. Just take it." Like, I'm scared. I'm tired. I'm real tired. I need to disclose soon, man. I need to publish soon because it's like escalating. It's getting more and more aggressive. Like over the past, this has been going on for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. And over the past 12 months, it's been like escalating, like more aggressive, more invasive, digging through my underwear drawer and sexual threats over the past like 3 to 6 months. And now I'm like, fuck, I have to publish. Fuck, I have to publish because like, it's only going to get worse until I publish. There's no way out of this. There's no way out of this fucked up situation until I publish.
So, pretty interesting, isn't it? That this was happening to her. And, what can you do? You go to the police and they won't do anything because that person hasn't done anything yet. Just thinking they're the ones that broke in and dug through your drawers and moved things around doesn't prove that they are the ones that did it. I would have had cameras or done more. I don't know what I would have done, but I don't know. Went to somewhere or had someone check my house to see if I had a bug in there. Were they listening with those? That they have these sound deals that you can listen through walls and stuff like that. I mean, what are you supposed to do? I mean, how do you protect yourself from that kind of stuff? Just like what you Nerdy Org just said about just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they aren't following you. Because remember the movie, I think it was called Pelican Brief or something like that. Was that the one that had Mel Gibson in it where he was like all nutty, because he was a conspiracy theorist and nobody believed him, but everything he said was real and it really did happen. And she was trying to figure it out. It's that kind of thing, How do you live when you know that, or you really do believe that these people are following you, no matter what you do, where you go, you can't get away from them because you don't have the money, you don't have the means to pack up and leave. how do you help people like that? How do we help these people get out of that situation? Well, they found her dead supposedly, and what can you do about it? I mean, how scary is that? Just like she said, it's been over 4 years, and she has a boyfriend in the video that she's making right then. She's already been doing it for over 4 years, dealing with knowing that somebody's harassing her, following her for some reason. What's the purpose? Is it because of where she worked? Is that why they were listening in on her? And her what do you call it? You know how I don't know I guess your sixth sense, the one that where your hair stands up on the back of your neck when you walk by someone because something about them just creeps you out. I'm sure that's happened to everyone, but we just don't use it enough. We don't listen to it enough. And I think that's one reason why a lot of people get away with things, is because we sensed it later on. We say, gosh, I had a weird feeling about that person, but you didn't tell anyone. You didn't say anything about what you saw or felt. So nothing happened. Sorry, I got to get a sip of water. I got a dry spot in my throat. My allergies are so bad. It's terrible. But we tend to just push it aside because either we don't want to look like an idiot, or we just don't have time for it at that moment because we're trying to get our job done or whatever, or for whatever reason why we don't do anything. Then we go home and forget, we get busy. I do that a lot. I'll say, oh, I got to put that on my list, or I got to do something, and then I forget. And then I go shopping 2 days later and I didn't buy it because guess what? I forgot to write it on the list. So we do a lot of things. We jumble things around to try to get in as much as we can in. And sometimes we get so much on our plate that we don't remember a lot of things. But, I felt really bad for her when I watched this video, because I've had a couple of friends that's had to deal with government people, because there's different levels of government. You might be with one part of the government and you're trying to help them solve something. And these other people here and there through the government know that you're working with that part of the government. And maybe one or two of those over here are the ones that are calling you saying, well, I'm just wondering what's going on and if you found anything yet. And they constantly do that, even though they're not involved or supposed to be involved at all. Little things like that. And then you tell somebody that you are working with, this person keeps calling me. Well, just don't tell them anything. Tell them to stop calling me. Well, if I tell them, then they'll know that you told us that that they're calling you. So I can't say anything. So you're basically stuck where you can't do anything. And that's basically where she was at. She said, I live in a dump or whatever. She felt like it was a bad apartment. And what else was she going to do? I just feel bad for people that are stuck like that. They feel like they have nowhere to turn, they have nowhere to go. Because if it got so bad for me, like this girl says, I'm tired. I just want to, I just want to be over because I'm just exhausted from it. She's emotionally, she sounds very drained, and she just wants out of the situation. I feel really bad for her that she couldn't go and stay with her parents, or, just put in a transfer through her job and go someplace else, get away from it. And sometimes it sucks that you are the one that ends up having to leave, but sometimes that's the only option you have, is to, I know quite a few women, because they weren't the big breadwinner or whatever in the family, they were able to just, they had no choice but to up and leave or go live with their uncle or their grandma or their cousin or a sibling until they get back on their feet, because they were being harassed by an ex or somebody from their job that became obsessed with them. And, they had no choice but to get out of it. And they had to take the only route they had, which was to have someone else help them. Because a lot of people don't have, $100,000 in the bank and they can just go and find another place and, just basically start over somewhere else because they have the money they need for down payments and whatever else they need. Most people just have, you know, the shirt on their back and a few things in a suitcase and a few dollars, you know, to start over somewhere else because they're living from one check to the next, basically. So, you know, and that's how she sounded. And I feel really bad that she felt like she just had nothing. She could do nothing about the situation she was in. And you know what? I also believe that there's people that thrive on that. When they put you in a position like this woman was in, they just laugh. They sit in their place and they say, oh, I'm going to keep doing this, that, and the other. And I'm going to put this in her mailbox, or I'm going to, you know, they just do stuff and they just thrive off of it. And he may just be some nut job, had nothing to do with anything that she thinks it has to do with because of her job or whatever. He's just some crazy nut that just likes to see her fear on her face. You know, like the guy that opens his coat, you know, to get you to go, oh, you know, to get that surprised look or sad. That's what turns those people on. So that could have been it. You know, it could have been something that simple. And she could have just kicked him in the balls and he would have cowered and cried and whatever, you know, who knows if she thought about it. But by the time she was really getting that serious, she was pretty much, you know, ready to just get rid of it, you know, just to not be there anymore. It sounded like she was at her wit's end from what I could tell from the video. But yeah, I feel really bad about it. But, you know, sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. You can't change, you know, way things are going on for someone else. But this next video, I think this is it. Yeah. This is when it started getting really interesting, when I started digging in and I started finding more and more of this type of stuff. I was like, wow, this is really creepy. So, let's see, I think this is the one. Yeah, we'll bring this up. And it was really, really cool because I never even started connecting a lot of these things until you start really getting into it, you know, start digging around, simply because somebody sent you something that you didn't even really connect any of it. But once you start putting it together, you start going, wow, there's a lot more of this stuff going on than you thought it was. One or two here and there through the years is not that big a deal. But it says here, 11 dead or missing U.S. scientists are now being viewed as national security threat. So a lot of the conspiracy stuff that people were talking about is real. It's really something, because it's starting to connect together where more and more people are like going, wow, you know, it's too much to fake it. But here, I'm going to play this for you, make sure it's turned up. Here we go.
Well, it does appear that there's a high possibility that something sinister is taking place here. This has been going on, obviously, for the last 3 years. So what I found in 3.5 years as chairman of the House Oversight Committee is sometimes government agencies don't do a good job of sharing information on situations like this. So we've asked all those agencies, the Department of Energy, NASA, the Department of War, to all share information with us so that we can see if we can put it together and find any missing links to try to solve what's going on here, because it's very unlikely that this is a coincidence. So Congress is very concerned about this. Our committee is making this one of our priorities now, because we view this as a national security threat. Well, it does appear that there's a high possibility that something sinister is taking place here. So
that is, I don't know. I just thought it was very creepy. The fact that the news even believes that it's too much of a coincidence for it to not be real, you know, because just like I said, common sense will make you start going, wow, this sure doesn't seem, it seems too creepy to not be true. And when you know, that's why I believe that when you're in court and you're trying to, this person has been arrested for, let's say, a sexual assault or something like that, and it goes to court, and then the judge says you can't talk about his past, that he's done this before, that type of thing. And I'm like, why not? To me, if they've been arrested 3 or 4 times for doing the exact same thing, I think that helps the person say, yeah, it's just circumstantial here and circumstantial there. I just think it's ridiculous. Now they're getting to where they're starting to let the past come in during the sentencing phase, which I'm very thankful for, because that trial I was talking about earlier about the little Athena Strand that was 7 years old, taken by the FedEx driver, and he murdered her in the back of it and did some sexually deviant stuff to her, and then threw her in the water and left her there. And then he cried that he wasn't going to get to be with his son for Christmas. It's like, oh, he's just a disgusting pig. But the thing is that they had tons of evidence that he did it. But, some people still don't want to believe, oh, well, he had a bad life. Who gives a shit? I got made fun of. I had lots of bad things happen to me, but it did make me want to go out and kill totally innocent people. I don't know. It's pathetic and sad that we coddle people that, that are clearly doing it because they've been able to get away with it for so long. They don't understand why we're even looking at them anymore. They're narcissistic heads so big they can't even stand up straight anymore. It's pathetic and disgusting. But I wanted to share a few of these because some of these things are getting to be more and more that it doesn't seem right how we can be, this many things can be happening all at one time, and people aren't doing anything about it. But here we go. I'm going to play this because this was another one that got sent to me that I thought was pretty interesting. It's about the, CERN. Then it was about scientists that are involved in certain levels of certain things going on in our government that just disappear or they're found dead. And then this whole thing that this gentleman brings up, I thought was pretty interesting. So I'm going to play this for you. So here we go. I'm making sure it's turned up. For some reason, it's really quiet, I feel.
How did we get here?
I recently directed the Secretary of War to begin releasing government files relating to UFOs. So I'm pleased to report today that this process is well underway, and we found many very interesting documents, I must say. And the first releases will begin very, very soon.
Let's start back on Valentine's Day when President Obama said,
"Are aliens real?"
They're real, but I haven't seen them. And
5 days later, on February 19th, President Trump responded by stating that Obama,
I can tell you he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. He made a big mistake.
Then he teased that he may declassify that information to get Obama out of trouble. Later that same night, Trump posted on Truth Social that he is, in fact, directing Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, to identify and release government files related to aliens and UFOs. To which Hegseth quickly responded by posting an alien and salute emoji. 3 days later, the Secretary was questioned about if he's prepared to disclose extraterrestrial life to the world, to which he replied,
Of course. I mean, we've got our people working on it right now.
However, he possibly misspoke about this effort by associating it with an executive order instead of a presidential directive. Then, 4 days later, on February 27th, General Neil McCaslin, who served as the commander of the Air Force Research Laboratory at Wright-Patt, vanished into thin air. His disappearance is easy to dismiss as unrelated to the UFO topic and purely coincidental. But it became harder to deny a possible connection when Representative Burchett identified McCaslin as a UFO gatekeeper during an interview a few weeks later on March 30th.
He's the guy that was had a lot of nuclear secrets and was allegedly the gatekeeper. And I've been told by several sources that he was the gatekeeper for the UFO stuff.
Another possible coincidence is that the very same night that McCaslin went missing, the Department of War Rapid Response Twitter account posted a video about sharing UAP-related information on the National Archives site through Arrow to
begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, UAPs, and UFOs.
Having Arrow participate in this UFO transparency effort was not warmly received due to the lack of trust their organization has earned from both the UFO community and Congress, as indicated by Representative Luna's comments on March 22nd, when she said that she will recommend that Arrow be disbanded and defunded. A few days earlier, on March 17th, reports came out that the government had quietly registered the websites alien.gov and aliens.gov. Whether these websites are related to UAP transparency remains to be seen, but as of April 18th, they have reportedly been moved from a park state to having a live server supporting the domains. On March 27th, J.D. Vance shook things up when he told Benny Johnson,
.gov, I don't think they're aliens. I think they're demons anyway, but that's a long discussion.
Then, 4 days later, on the 31st of March, Representative Luna sent a letter to the Secretary of War requesting the release of 46 UAP-related videos with a deadline of March 16th. Of note, the full 4-minute version of the gimbal video was not requested, but it's not too late, and if you see this, Rep. Luna, please add it. That catches us up to the comments Trump made at the Turning Point event about the UAP documents being released very soon. To which Representative Luna followed up on the 18th by clarifying that all files are being released, including documents and the 46 videos she requested. And then she recommended that we all should read the Book of Enoch, which is an apocryphal text that is basically a prequel to Genesis 6, where the Nephilim are discussed, which are essentially a product of interbreeding between a non-human intelligence and humans. Which sounds eerily similar to the comments former Representative Matt Gaetz made on March 31st, where he stated,
I had someone come and brief me who was in a military uniform, worked for the United States Army, that was briefing me on the locations of hybrid breeding programs where captured aliens were breeding with humans to create some hybrid race that could engage in intergalactic communication.
Pretty wild stuff. Now we wait and see what the next few days or weeks bring us. But I recommend placing your seatbacks and trays in their upright locked positions and make sure your seatbelts are firmly secured because it might get a little bumpy. Thanks for watching.
I thought that was really, really interesting because I hear a lot of people saying stuff like that in spaces and on Telegram and on some of the other platforms that I'm on, talking about, breeding programs and stuff. And I'm like, okay, the breeding programs, they just say that. They don't tell what they're doing or how they're doing it. Are they taking semen and eggs from these aliens and mixing them with humans in laboratories and trying to do it? Or what? See, that's where I have a hard time. Where's some extra stuff? Give us some other stuff to delve into to find out whether or not we believe that whole story. Because see, my story is I've been on many shows and I'd be interviewed as Janet from Another Planet. And my whole story is about how Venus and Earth travel around the sun, and that every 16 months, the Earth and Venus are close enough as they travel around the sun to where they're parallel to where a woman can, from Venus, can come to Earth through a wormhole straight to Earth and procreate with human males to keep our race, growing on our planet. And because men can't stay on our planet very long, or they start to die. So there's a whole story I built around that part of it. And then when our sons come to age where they're about to be have puberty, they have to come to Earth and stay with their fathers because they can't survive on our planet. Because women are different and so are girls, than boys and men. So that's the whole way of how I have our planet with all women. That type of thing. But we like coming to Earth because we can live here. We have no problem living here. It's just that we are lonely. We need men. So that's my whole story for my persona and stuff. And it works pretty good, but it's fun. But that doesn't mean I believe it. It just means that's my story for, for my cosplay. And to me, it works pretty good. I think it works fine. And it's fun. It's a fun story, to use. But so many people have other stories and they believe all of them. So, you know what I mean? So the thing is, it's sad, but that's my story for Janet from Another Planet, and why we need humans, that whole thing, and how we interact, and that we can coexist. It's just that I don't want men to die. I just want to use them for a short period of time. That type of thing. It just makes it fun. But there's this other article I was reading I thought was pretty interesting too, because it goes along with the same weird things that are going on. So let me pause this real quick, because I don't know why they always start like that. But this is another person who went missing. It says a retired Air Force Major General with deep ties to classified space programs and the UFO world have vanished without a trace. It's just really getting creepy. And like I said earlier in the beginning of the show, I do believe these people are missing. Now, do I believe all of them have been taken by aliens or by someone in our government to get rid of them because they're whistleblowers or something like that? No, I haven't seen enough proof to make me start believing that as a conspiracy theory. But with the stuff that's going on with Iran, and all the people that we know have come over the border, we don't know whether or not they have a dirty bomb or a couple of dirty bombs that have been brought over the border, or what their purpose was for them to come. What are they wanting besides the ones that are like making fake daycares and other ways to steal NGO money, from the taxpayers? But they had help. Those were brought here, those people, and used by people that were already in the government to know how to steal money. But what this to me could be is, just like I said earlier, that we've had these groups of people in South America from China and other countries that hate us, basically. Maybe they're trying to do something. Maybe they've used some of these people that are leaning toward hating America being free and people having weapons and things like that. And maybe they want more cabbage to spend somewhere else in the world. So they think, okay, here's some documents that proves this person works here or there, and this is what they do. And they need more scientists to help them with, creating better energy for their homes or whatever it is that they want. And if they can just get these people and put them in a laboratory over there, they can come up with ways to where they can somehow beat us at something, take us over from the inside out. I don't know. That to me is more believable than, some aliens abducting them or something like that, specific people. But remember, we had, 3 or 4 Chinese balloons just flying all around over the plains of the United States of America, and the Biden administration didn't seem to give a shit. They couldn't care less if they were spying on people or what they were doing, or they were being paid to look the other way. I mean, I don't know. I just think it's ridiculous that they were able to fly those around and nothing happened for at all that I remember even being on the news. Them doing anything besides saying, oh, it's just some weather balloons. Well, how do they know? Did somebody go and get them and take them apart, figure it out? I don't know. It just seems very obvious to me sometimes, depending on who's in charge, that they don't care enough. And then we get people in office, and then some people think they care too much, that they're tying this down or whatever, this stupid stuff like that. So it doesn't matter that either side's going to polarize the other and make them look like the bad guy. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just think it's creepy. And I'm going to copy this real quick and I'm going to put this in the chat because this story is really creepy. And Gunther Eagleman's the one that sent it out on X. And he usually puts out some pretty good stuff. Sometimes, all of us get caught putting something out that isn't, has no background simply because we believed, what someone else had put on there. But that's, I don't know, just then what were they? Since there was a false flag waving. See, you're going to put that out there. Give me a link. Put a link in the chat that shows us, the rest of us, that what you're trying to say isn't true. The last I heard on the news, it said there were Chinese balloons. So I can only go by that. So if you got extra good, juicy details because you're on the inside or whatever, then great. Share it with other people. Let them know. But if you don't, then you're just a jaw flapper like everybody else, like the news, because that's what the news said. And as far as I know, that is the last I ever heard about it. Okay, well, that's great. I will share my email, which is FridayNightShitShow@gmail.com. Send me an email so I can share it with other people. If you believe that that's true, I would really like that. Let me get my email and I'll put it in the chat again, because you can copy and keep it and then send it to me, because then I can do it on another show and I can actually share what you said it is, because you have a point of view too. And I try to share those when I get them. But anybody can say anything. I mean, just like every single person on every platform can say whatever they want about anyone. They can say that you're a piece of shit and that you robbed them or whatever, with no proof at all. And you might lose your job because enough people share it and it comes there. Well, this makes our business look bad. And they just let you go. And you did nothing. See what I mean? And you get screwed because some dumbass with a keyboard that wants to be a dickhead, and I don't think that's right. I think that's wrong. And I think people should be called out for that. But yeah, if you have something, send it to my email. I would love to share it. But I'm going to take that down. Let's see. I think that was the last one I had. Oh, the other thing that I found that I thought was kind of interesting, but I'm not on Reddit. I know a couple people that do use Reddit that are doing stuff on there, and I can't really make heads or tails of what all of it means. It doesn't. I've gone there and tried to read it. I just can't get it to sink in, apparently, or something. But look at this. I'm going to share this little thing here, because I was trying to see if there was anything out there about this whole thing with CERN and them firing it up, trying to see the bad stuff that people were saying about what was going to happen. The demons were going to open a black hole. We're going to be sucked in. I mean, I was looking up tons of things like that because a lot of people were saying tons of different things. And I got lots of them that were from Reddit, but I don't have Reddit. So when I'm going through it, and this is what it always looks like, it's got all this stuff on here, but I can't figure out how you're supposed to find stuff on there, because I typed in some stuff, looked for it, but it all comes up looking like this. I mean, it's like, I don't know. I just have a hard time. And I have a couple friends that use it. And every time I get a chance to sit down with them to try to say, hey, how do you, find things, and how do you follow people or whatever? How does it work? And nobody's available. Whatever I try to figure out how to do stuff and learn something, there's no one there to be able to explain it to me. And so until I get somebody to take me through it and show me how to use this app, I really don't know what I'm finding. I'm trying to learn. I mean, they did talk about it, but most of the people said that they didn't think that it was going to really do anything, that it was just a scientific experiment, basically, and that they just didn't think that it was going to cause, the end of the world, which it didn't. A lot of people were, but just like I remember, I don't know, they were saying Y2K or something, and that something bad was going to happen. I'm trying to remember what it was. I just wasn't focusing that much of my time on it back then. And nothing happened. I didn't see, the financial collapse and, everybody losing their jobs or whatever. And, I just try not to get into that stuff. I just try to go do my job, do my stuff, come home, take care of my yard, clean my house, do my laundry, the same thing like everyone else. And, not fall for all this stuff. But one thing I would love is if anybody does know how to find stuff on here on on Reddit or how it works. I would love if you want to send something to my DM here on X or to my email. I would really appreciate somebody trying to break that down for me so I can figure out how to decipher through it about how do you, pull all the information out of there, because I don't know. I couldn't, just like some of the ones with the Q drops and has all these numbers and letters and whatever. I have no idea what any of that means. I'm just not I didn't even start doing anything on a computer until I got asked, because I was doing TikTok videos, just with my phone, which is really easy. Anybody can do it. And, going to Comic-Con and doing all those kinds of things, and trying to learn how to stream. And a few of you, like Kronos, I think he was one of them. My first time, I just sat there and cried because I couldn't figure out how to do nothing. And I had no idea how to do it. But I've come a little ways farther from that. But it's hard. It's hard to learn new things when you don't have anyone around to say, do this, do that, turn that or whatever, put this in there, whatever, that type of stuff. It's really hard to learn on your own. And but the thing is, I try to tell people, don't be a quitter. Try, just keep doing it. Because if I can keep coming back, even though I don't know what the hell I'm doing, try to make it better next time, but I can still open it, close it, and save things. I'm getting a lot better, but it's fun. It's fun to learn new things, and get to hang out with other people that enjoy doing making videos and trying to stream, talk about different things that we all love, comic books or crafting or Comic-Con, gaming. There's so many different things that I just love doing. And I love doing this kind of stuff and learning from it. But I just think it's interesting, and I'm thankful because I've done it. I get lots of people sending me cool stuff, my emails or in my DMs, and I get to read and learn about stuff that I probably never would have ever, I never would have ever went to Reddit for any purpose at all if I hadn't had people send me stuff, links to Reddit saying, oh, this article's pretty interesting. And they send it to me and I'm going and I'm like, I can't figure out what I'm doing. I can't read an article. I don't even know how to open it up. It's like, it's just different. It's totally different. But it has to be really good if it's so popular somehow. I guess if you play with anything long enough, you figure out how to do stuff. But we'll see. That's all I can say. But I just want to say thank you to everybody who hung out with me a little bit tonight to get to talk about it, because I hope they find some more information and they keep digging, because they have 11 scientists from different areas in that part of the government all disappear. It's kind of, I don't know. It's kind of spooky to think about it. So honestly, it would make me not want to go work for that company or that group. If that many people, that's 11. That's a high number. It's not 2. You know what I mean? It's not even 4 is bad too, but 11, oh, it's really scary, I think. But I want to say thank you again, everyone, for hanging out with me. And tomorrow night, I'm going to do the movie review again, and we're going to do Rob Roy. So if you haven't seen the movie Rob Roy, I hope you'll join me tomorrow night for Replay Wednesday. And we're going to talk about the movie Rob Roy and how wonderful it was, because it was really, really good. But hi, Nerdy Org. Thank you for stopping in. Bye. You have a great night. And I'll see you, it was 2 weeks or whatever that we're going to play our game again. So, but thank you for making me laugh too, Kronos, because you guys are great. You guys are awesome. I'm so thankful I started doing this stuff, and I've met so many cool people. I get to hang out with Nerdy Org every 2 weeks. We game together. I'm in a game with him, and it's fun. It's really fun. I really enjoy. I spend my whole Saturday playing games online, rolling dice, portraying our characters, and it's cool and it's fun. And I've met some really cool people, and I'm really thankful for it. But I hope you guys have a wonderful evening and get some rest. And I hope you guys are having beautiful weather wherever you are. And make sure you hug your families, because I just recently lost my father, and we don't think about it enough, about how important it is to hug people you love every day and tell them you love them, because today might be your last day to see them. So, oh, hi, Crazy. Haven't seen you in forever. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing better. Hope you're healing well. And yeah, it's tough. I've been trying to deal with it best I can, but I'm lucky because I do have 4 sisters, and they all lost their dad too. So I'm not alone, at least with that. But it just makes you realize that life isn't forever. You know, we only have whatever amount of our time is on this planet, and that's all we have here on this planet. So we have to enjoy every minute we can. Love your pets, love your home, love your family, love the beauty of this planet, our blue skies and our beautiful oceans. We've been blessed with so much, and we all just seem to, not all, but most of us seem to take it for granted, because we are so lucky to have what we have, and not say thank you once in a while. But yeah, he is crazy, isn't he? But you guys have a great night, and I'll see you guys later. Thanks a lot.
Boys and girls all over the world are being abused and tortured.
The worst moments of these children's lives, they're being videotaped, and they're being shared with other offenders all over the world.
Many people would refer to this as CSAM, child sexual abuse material.
They are suffering, and they don't think that anyone is coming to help them. But we can. We can build that army, and we can go get them.
Come be a part of this team that is trying to push back this evil.